and happy to be here tonight. And our first speaker is from the Slope Open Discussion Group in Brooklyn. And his name is Barry M., and he's very colorful.
New York City, are you ready? My name is Barry, and I'm a very humble, I'm a very grateful alcoholic.
Hey, Barry.
And I'm very grateful to be here tonight, but I'm more grateful that you're here. I want to thank Grace and Marianne and the other committee members also. That's a horrible job. The only job worse than that is being treasurer of a group. Counting all those singles, it's terrible. I'd like to tell you a little bit about how I got here. I got on the #1 train, and I was here before I know it. Would that it were that easy. I always thought if I got to do this gig, I hoped that the theme would be joy, because joy is my mantra. It's a lot of other people's mantras, I guess, also. But the theme is hope against all odds. And when I seen that, I thought, that really is what my sobriety it has been all about, hope against all odds. I celebrated more first anniversaries than anyone I know. The last one I celebrated, a friend said, you're really getting addicted to first anniversary cake. But I thought, I think there's a little more to it than that, And it finally took. I sort of grew up in the shadow of AA. My oldest brother was in and out of the program, and he didn't make it. He paid for his disease with his life. And I was very young. He was 20 years older than I was. And I knew really as a kid where alcoholism led. And the one thing I was not going to be when I grew up was an alcoholic. I had 2 other brothers that were also alcoholic. And neither of my parents were alcoholic. They could have fun with it or without it. And they did. They were incredible people. I was very fortunate to have the parents I had. I drank all through high school, and I really didn't run into any problems with it until I got in beauty school. And halfway through beauty school, they threatened to throw me out. Now, in the rooms I've heard of people being threatened with being thrown out of law school or medical school, but beauty school, it's a 6-month course. Well, I gotta tell you, I got my act together and I graduated with honors. And I started working for a company out of Chicago, and they sent me to Florida. And I decided I had to get a license because I had learned to drive in a blackout. And I didn't have a license. But in Florida, you gotta have a car if you're gonna, even to go to Key Food, you gotta have a car. So I got a license, and a friend of mine, I was living in West Palm, and a friend of mine who lived in Miami came up one night, and we went out to dinner, and he said, well, how do you like Florida? And I said, oh, I love it. It's so incredible, all these palm trees and the moon, and And I started telling him how I was drinking. I knew he in the program, and he needed it. God knows he needed it. And he said, you know, if you're going to drink like that, what I would suggest is you leave the car at the bar and take a cab home, and then go back and pick up the car in the morning. And I said, uh-huh. And I thought, God, that sounds so alcoholic, you know? And that Saturday, I had my first car accident, and I lost my license, so I started going to AA meetings. What else could I do? And in Florida, this is a long time ago, the people that went to AA at that time seemed much older than I was. They were, you know. I was a snot-nosed kid that didn't know how to handle alcohol. And so I went for 90 days, and I got my license back, and then I started drinking and driving again, and I had another accident. And I thought, oh, I'll never get sober down here. I better go back to New York. So I came back to New York, and I got sober. I guess I had a year down there at one point. And then I got sober up here for about a year, and I went out, and I came back, and I went out, and there was a lot of that, you know, in and out, in and out. I think that when Bill left Towns Hospital, he never thought he would drink again. I know when my sponsor left Towns Hospital 10 years after Bill, that she knew she would never drink. And she was an incredible woman and a fabulous sponsor. She was like Auntie Mame. And as you can see, I got a little bit of it too. Anyway, I met this guy in an after-hour place, and I should have known right then, you know, this relationship was going to go nowhere. But I didn't. I was a dumb blonde. And I liked it that way, and so did a lot of other people, I'm told. Anyway, I thought this guy really needs AA, so I took him to my home group, which was Tutor, where my sponsor held forth every week, and people came to listen to her and to try to understand what she had to give. She had a lot to give. She was an incredible, incredible woman. I was very lucky to have her as long as I did. Anyway, I thought I would get him sober, and then I would continue to drink like a lady. When I drank, I was anything but a lady. Anyway, I thought, well, the only way this relationship is going to work is if I get sober too. So we were sober together in AA for 5 years, and then he slipped, and then I slipped. In the next 2.5 years, everything that I had heard about in the rooms began happening to me, and I couldn't believe it. On December 27th of 1973, or that Christmas Eve of 1973, I was at a meeting at St. Luke's, and it was when we were meeting in the little wood frame building. And I looked around that room and I said to myself, "Self, this meeting is full of losers." And I gathered my mink around me and I left. Well, I'm here to tell you, I was the only loser in that meeting that night, because I went home and I told my ex-lover that I was going out to get a pack of cigarettes, and there were a carton of them in the kitchen cabinet, you know. And he said, okay. And I came home around, I don't know what time it was. It was the worst drunk I had ever been on in my life. And I there was a woman from New York visiting another woman from New York in Florida who lived next door to my original sponsor. And they gathered around in a circle and prayed over me that Christmas Eve. So Christmas, the 26th, I woke up and I had a big white poodle named Martini. I got her as a gift the first time I celebrated 1 year. And she used to go to meetings with me, and when I slipped, she would go drinking with me. And one time in West Palm Beach, I was in a bar, and the stools had backs on them, and she used to sit at the bar, and they'd give her ice cubes. And this drunk walks in, he takes one look at this great big white poodle sitting at the bar, and he turned right around and walked right back out. He probably thought he was hallucinating. Anyway, I got her out from under the bed where she was spending a lot of her life because she was becoming very paranoid with all this insane merry-go-round of alcoholism around her. And when I woke up that morning, a still small voice said to me, "This does not have to be the rest of your life." And when I got her out from under the bed and fed her, I went to a real estate agent, and I found an apartment that was so small you could put this apartment in the dining room of the apartment I was moving out of. And it was perfect. So on December 27th of 73, I did not have a drink. And I haven't had one since. And let me tell you, sobriety is the best high I have ever been on. You can't buy this in a bottle or a pill or in any of the crap that's out there. But what you can do is experience this love that is in this room right now, at this moment in time. The first dinner I went to was the last one that Bill spoke at. And tickets were $12.50. So we live in inflated times. But I gotta tell y'all, they were just as hard to sell at $12.50 as they are at $100. There was another woman and I that thought they should have been $100 then, and it's taken how many years? If you want to know what the answer to that little quiz is, it's in the 12 and 12 in the 7th tradition. Read it sometime. While you're here tonight, you know, I always do a commercial whenever I talk for Bill's dinner because I really believe in it. It's been a big night in my life for a long, long time. It was a big night when my sponsor spoke. She had 45 years that night. And it was an incredible, incredible meeting, like this one is going to be, because the two people after me are both very good speakers. I have always gotten a lot out of this dinner. The minute my foot steps into this ballroom, and it was this ballroom that Bill spoke at the last time, probably at the same podium. Ugh. Although it seemed like it went all the way to the floor, but who knows? You know, it's a long time ago, and a lot has changed in the meantime. The following year, of course, he was very ill, and we played a recording of him from the hospital room that he was in. And then after that, we started doing celebrity speakers. And then we ran out of celebrities. So we went to circuit speakers. Now I'm glad that we're back to celebrity speakers. You know, I promised myself I was going to behave tonight. I know you all know that promise. God, I promised myself I was going to behave for so long that it just didn't matter anymore, you know. But what sobriety has given me, I wanted two things when I came in. I wanted a longer mink coat and bigger diamond rings. Same old mink coat and the same old diamond rings I came in with. But what I've gotten in sobriety, you cannot measure in material things. And I am a real material girl, let me tell you. I believe heavy in the retail therapy. Never get tired of that kind of therapy, you know. Not only do I get to experience this on an annual basis, but I get to do things like the International, which is always mind-blowing. If you haven't already registered, do it soon, because believe me, there's going to be a lot of us there in the end of June and July. These are the things, sponsoring people and watching them grow. Having had the sponsor I had for so long, who taught me so much about this program and about life, and I have tried to pass it on to people that I sponsor, because it really is about passing it on. I just think that AA is the hope of the world. I have always thought that. When people of like minds get together, the energy that is created is so phenomenal. It beats war, it beats hate, it beats all of the negative conditions in the world, and it beats alcoholism. Imagine, you know, when I was sitting on a bar stool, did I ever do that? I guess I did. It seems so foreign to my nature today, because this feels normal to me. Sitting on a bar stool, having lost the ability to communicate. I could only communicate with the reflection in the mirror behind the bar. That's a horrible, horrible space to be in. And communicating has always been a big part of my life, and I'm very grateful for that. I have a little favor to ask of you, since you're in the room tonight. If you have a good time, next year, bring 9 of your friends with you. You know, there's 1,600 of us or so here tonight. I always say this ballroom should be 2,000 strong. And it was when Bill was alive. And this is a living program. So just think about it. Make that commitment to yourself. You know, I've been selling tickets for years, and I love it. And my sister Peggy, who's out there somewhere, where are you, honey, has been doing the same thing. 5 years ago tonight, Peggy and I were at an anniversary watch for somebody, and if you don't know what that's about, well, find out what it's about. See me after the meeting. And that person is in the room, as is Peggy tonight, and he's going to be celebrating 6 years tomorrow. At midnight tonight. Yeah, you're right. That's what AA is all about. There's a guy in Brooklyn. Y'all know about Brooklyn. Brooklyn is getting very chic since the musical opened, folks. There was a guy who celebrated 50 years at the Bay Ridge Group last month, the last Sunday of the month. That says to me, this program works. This moment in time, this program works. I want to thank you, and I want to thank y'all for being the wind beneath my wings.
We have three wonderful speakers today, and they will each share their experience, strength, and hope with you for approximately 20 minutes each. And I'd like to first introduce Barry from New York.
Good morning. My name is Barry, and I'm a very grateful alcoholic. I'm grateful to be here today. I really thought when I first got the original letter about this meeting, great, 9 o'clock on a Friday morning in a strange city. Only the speakers and me will be here. And look at us. Look at us. Stand up for just a minute. Look at us. Look at how good we look. Shake hands with the person on your right. Stand up again. Shake hands with the person on your right. Thank that person. Thank that person for their sobriety. Whoa. I'm really grateful to be here today. I'm one of the ones that almost didn't make it. I had an older brother when I was growing up who was 20 years older than I was, who was in and out of the program. So as a kid, I always knew about alcoholism and I knew about recovery. I knew that alcoholism was a threefold disease, that it was physical, mental, and spiritual. And the one thing I was not going to be when I grew up was an alcoholic. And when I was about 14, I was out with a guy who had a convertible. Do I need to go any further with that story? He also had a cold bottle of wine, and I drank it like it was Perrier. And I got very sick and threw up all over myself, and the world was whirring around, and I loved it. I drank all through high school, and I really didn't get into too much trouble with it until I was in beauty school. Halfway through beauty school, they threatened to throw me out. Now, you know, in the rooms I've heard of people being threatened with being thrown out of law school or medical school. But beauty school, it's a 6-month course. But I got it together and graduated with honors. I started working for a company out of Chicago, and they moved me to Florida. And I thought, oh my God, I've got to get a driver's license, you know. I had learned to drive in a blackout. This is a very long time ago, and drunk driving was treated a little differently than it is today. I think it's a very serious crime. I am so glad to know that I am not drunk today and driving a car, because it just isn't fair. It really isn't. Anyway, a friend of mine who lived in Miami, I lived in Palm Beach, came up one night for dinner, and he said, how do you like Florida? And I said, oh, I love it. It's so wonderful, you know. The palm trees, the moon, you know, the bars. And he said, well, you know, if you're going to drink like that, I would strongly suggest leaving the car at the bar and taking a cab home. And I said, uh-huh. And I thought, God, that sounds so alcoholic. And the following Saturday, I had my first accident, and I had about 3 of them, DWIs. And I thought, well, you know, I don't know. I have no other choice but to go to AA. I couldn't drive, so I went to these meetings. And this is a very long time ago. And in Florida at that time, people were older, and I was a lot younger. I still haven't gotten a lot older. Anyway, I got sober for 90 days and got my license back and started drinking and driving again, and in and out and in and out. I celebrated more first anniversaries than anyone I know. The last time I celebrated a first anniversary, a friend said to me, you know, you really have become addicted to first anniversary cake. And I said, uh-huh. And I thought, well, you know, I think there's a little more to it than that. And I came back up to New York, and I thought, I'll never get sober in Florida, which is a crock. It doesn't matter, you know. When I went to the International Convention in New Orleans, and I had never been to New Orleans, and Bourbon Street, and oh, it's such a heavenly place for an alcoholic. But I had 5 years of sobriety at the time, and I knew why God had never put my feet in New Orleans before I had 5 years of sobriety. Anyway, I came back to New York, and I met a guy, and in an after-hour bar, and I should have known right then, you know, where was this relationship gonna go, you know? But I didn't. I was a very dumb blonde. And a lot of people liked that. So this guy really needed AA, and I took him to my home group, which was Tudor at the time. And I thought, you know, I'll get him sober, and then I'll continue to drink like a lady. Well, let me tell you, when I drank, I was anything but a lady. So I thought, if this relationship is going to work, I've got to get sober too, so I did. We stayed sober in AA for 5 years, and then he slipped, and then I slipped. And all of the things that I had heard happen to people began happening to me. And one Christmas Eve, I was at a meeting at St. Luke's in the Village, and we were meeting in a little wooden frame building which has since burned down. But I looked around that room and I thought, this meeting is full of losers. And I gathered my mink coat around me and I left. Well, I was the only loser in that meeting because I was the one that went home and got drunker than I have ever been in my life. And when I woke up on the 27th, I had a big white poodle named Martini that I had gotten when I first had my first anniversary, and as a gift, and she was wonderful. She used to go to meetings with me, and she'd go bar hopping when I was slipping, and she was an incredible dog. Anyway, she was spending a lot of her life underneath the bed. She'd gotten very paranoid with all this merry-go-round of alcoholism around her. And I got her out from under the bed and fed her. When I woke up that morning, the thought ran through my mind, this does not have to be the rest of your life. So I fed her, and then I went out and I went to a real estate agent. I kept throwing this guy out, but he kept coming back. And I really didn't want to get off this apartment because it was a great apartment. So I found an apartment that was so small I could put it in the dining room of the apartment I was moving out of. No wonder I didn't want to move, right? So I went to my home group at that time, which was then Sydney Place in Brooklyn Heights. And I thought, what makes you think this is going to be any different this time than it has been before? And believe you me, it's been totally different. I used to think that 12 steps and 12 traditions were just decorations in AA meetings. I never really understood them. I never certainly tried to live them. And I just had no concept of what getting better was about. When I looked around that meeting, there were 13 people in that meeting, and I thought, oh my God, it's like the Last Supper. And in a way, it has been for me. This go-around in sobriety has been so totally different. It's been about getting involved in the program, doing service, doing the steps on a regular basis, attending a step meeting and getting to know people in that meeting, and you know, getting up and just trying to give back some of what the program has given me. My sponsor, when she died, had 53 years, and she had been in my life a great many of those years. And she gave me so much, as so many people have that are no longer here, but they're here, if you know what I mean. They carry me through those really rough days. The topic of this meeting is, are you gay because you're alcoholic, or are you alcoholic because you're gay? I always knew I was gay from the day I was born, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. If I were unfortunate enough to have been born straight, I think I would still be an alcoholic, because genetically it was in there. It really was in there. And when I had about a year this time, a friend of mine who was one of the butchest dykes I ever met, had a drink, mixed it with drugs, went into a coma, and died. This woman, I doubt if she ever had a dress on, but her mother waked her in a floral print evening gown. The final revenge. I said to myself, you know, somebody could plant you in a floral print evening gown. Now, if I were going to go out that way, which I'm not, I'm going to be here forever, I would want to be in a red sequin gown, of course. It's the only way to go. I love red sequins. When Virginia died, I decided I would do anything to not end up like that. She was so much like me, and I was so much like her, in and out of the program. She had sobered up a lot of people. I had sobered up a lot of people in those years that I was in and out. But I couldn't stay sober. I decided I would do anything it takes to not pick up another drink. And for me, that was getting really involved in the 12 steps. I must have been on step 4 for 4 or 5 years, and then step 5 for another 5 years. And people got so sick of listening to me spouting what I had gotten out of the 4th and 5th steps, that they did the 4th and 5th steps. The proof is in the pudding, girls. Anyway, when I did the first original 4th and 5th steps, I came to the conclusion that I was an alcoholic because I was an alcoholic. And there is such power in that, not to have the monkey that was on my back, that was driving me all over the East Coast of the U.S., was such a gift. But there have been so many, many more gifts. When I got sober, I wanted 2 things. Oh, I've talked too long. I wanted 2 things in sobriety: a longer mink coat and bigger diamond rings. I've got the same old mink coat I came in with, and the same old diamond rings, but what I've gotten is you. Thank you. Thank you very much.